Hi, I'm Turk Strongman at Taranki Ramaturaka. Thank you for selecting this seventh in a series of videos on the law of rhythm and how to use it. We'll be wrapping up the chapter Mastering the Opposites in Arcane Formulas in this video before moving on to perhaps the final video in the series, which will be about neutralizing rhythm. Before getting started, if by the end of this video you like it, then please give it a thumb up. I'll probably remind you at the end of the video. And if you haven't done so already, please take the time right now to subscribe to this channel, activate the notification bell feature, and of course, spread the joy of this channel around. Share it with others. And these things having been humbly requested, now, the law of rhythm and how to use it. The last sentence that I read in the previous video, number 6, was, can you not see that one is the master of the opposites and the other the obedient slave? Continuing, the liberated ego, the emancipated self, knows its real nature. Knows that it is no emotional creature bent now this way and then that by the power of inherited or acquired feeling. Knows that it is the Lord of its own being, capable of using emotion as a means of expression when it suits itself. Remember, I said that your thoughts, your body, your physical body, your emotions, and such affairs are your real egos, your true selves, instruments of expression. And here we have an illusion to that, capable of using emotion as a means of expression when it suits itself, and likewise repressing it when it is best to do so, of using or discarding feeling when it suits its purpose. Nay, more, capable of changing the feeling or emotion from one of its poles to the other, changing love to hate, like to dislike, pain to pleasure, sorrow to joy, backward and forward at will, and solely because it wills to do it, and it suits its will to do so. When the ego realizes that it is the Lord of itself, instead of a subordinate and slave to its feelings and emotions or personal traits and characteristics, then alone is it free. The following exercise will tend to bring about a heightened realization in consciousness of the mastery of the opposites. It is adapted from an ancient arcane formula, modern figures of speech being used. The exercise is, let the neophyte, that would be you, place himself in a condition and position of rest, calm, and repose. Let him meditate upon the real nature of the I. Let him cast off the illusion of the personal self and its attributes as indicated in previous exercises, which we have really not brought to light here in this series because they weren't really relevant to the subject at the time, at the moment here, our current subject. Then let him imagine himself as rising above the lower planes of personality toward the higher planes of egohood, or true selfhood, as in a balloon which is rising, above the surface of the earth into the higher regions of purer, rarefied air. Let him then throw overboard from the mental balloon all the likes and the dislikes, loves and hates, prejudices for and against anything and everything whatsoever, either good or bad. In short, the entire collection of inherited or acquired feelings and emotions which have formed the garment or body of personality for so long. As the mental balloon rises higher and higher, let him throw off even more the more subtle feelings and emotions, until finally he finds himself divested of every iota of personal character he ever possessed, and his ego is as naked as a newborn babe. Then, after a few trials of this exercise, will come to him a new sense of power and might, a new realization of his real nature in will. Then will he realize that the pairs of opposites of the personality are but masks and clothing of the character he has been playing. Then will he feel like the Hindu god when he emerged from the body of the pig whose personality he had assumed. Then he may gradually return to the earth and resume the garments he has thrown off, but as a master and owner, not as a slave to them as heretofore. This exercise will quicken the perception of egohood and will aid in the mastery of the opposites. The following exercise, this next one here, will also be found very useful in the same direction. The exercise is, let the neophyte place himself in a position and condition of calm, restful repose, and then meditate upon the fact that contrasting and opposite poles, let me start the paragraph over. Let the neophyte place himself in a position and condition of calm, restful repose, and then meditate upon the fact that contrasting and opposing feelings and emotions are in reality but the opposite poles of the same thing. Let him, in imagination, try the experiment of changing the polarity of some emotion, of inducing the state of love where hate has been dominant, or vice versa. Either way, let him shift the polarity of his feelings and emotions at will, backward and forward. He will thus discover that the feelings and emotions are far from being fixed and constant, as he had supposed, but are capable of being shifted about at will. This exercise will result in giving the individual a wonderful power a wonderful power over his feelings and emotions, and preventing them from dominating or ruling him. By shifting the polarity, one may change a painful feeling or emotion into its opposite. Distressing feelings may be changed in polarity or balanced with their opposites, and much pain be obviated. It is not necessary always to shift entirely to the opposite pole of the emotion or feeling. Many adepts merely change the polarity to the opposite in just a sufficient degree to establish a balance, and thus create a condition and state of poise and equilibrium, which results in peace of mind, which quiets the stormy sea of passion, emotion, or feeling. This condition of poise and balance is the true state of the advanced occultist. Equally balanced between the pairs of opposites, one finds a peace unknown to those who polarize in either extreme. When one fully realizes that he is the master of the opposites, one finds a peace unknown to those who polarize in either extreme. When one fully realizes that he is the master of the opposites and may shift the polarity of emotion and feeling at will, then he himself is able to establish the condition most conducive to his satisfaction and happiness, and such a one as well on the road to mastership. That wraps up mastering the opposites. The next lesson, and perhaps depending on its duration here, the last one in this series will be neutralizing rhythm. Now, let's see how long I've gone here. 10 minutes. I think that's long enough. All right. Let me go back and emphasize something here for you, though. Okay, excuse me, where is it? Yes. All right. Distressing feelings may be changed in polarity, as in from one pole to the other, or balanced with their opposites, and must pain be obviated. It is not always necessary to shift entirely to the opposite pole of the emotion or feeling. Many adepts merely change the polarity to the opposite in a sufficient degree enough to establish a balance, and thus create a condition and state of poise and equilibrium. This condition of poise and balance is the true state of the advanced occultist. Now I want to point out, there is also one of the 7 laws is the law of balance. Okay? We might call it law of equilibrium or whatever, something, anything like that. Homeostasis, all things working toward their restful state, which is a state of balance between poles. When poised at the point of balance, this is the point at which transmuting to a higher level of some same thing, a higher level of it, like from the lower consciousness, plane of consciousness to the higher, is most easily accomplished. Just wanted to point that out. Okay. Equally balanced between the pairs of opposites, one finds a peace unknown to those who polarize in either extreme. There we go. Now, did you like the video? If you did, here's your reminder to give it a thumb up. And if you haven't done so already, please take the time right now to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell feature. Share the joy of the channel with others. And remember, you heard it first right here on Thank You Ramatraka. I'm Turk Strongman. Go be well.